I just watched a video, it's entitled The Future of the Planet of the Apes, and they're talking about this long-term plan or goal or whatever of eventually having the current time with Caesar going forward, and maybe even connecting with the place in the future when Taylor and the other astronauts land on the Earth, and that point in history when humans are savage and unable to speak. That's what they're saying. You know, maybe if they can continue to make enough films that they could connect the time right now with Caesar to that time in the future. And it kind of worries me that that's what they're thinking. I hope that isn't what they do, because this is a classic series of films. I grew up with them, and I know a lot of people did, and they should mess with something that's a classic. It's one thing to redo it, but it's another thing to possibly ruin it. With the original series, there's two timelines. There's the original timeline that Taylor encounters when he first lands on the Earth. And then there's the reconstructed timeline, the changed timeline that happens when two apes from the future go back to the 1970s and beget a child. And the two apes die, but the child lives, and that is Caesar, who is raised by a human father and is bestowed by that human father with all the compassion and love of life. That is passed on to Caesar. And in the last two movies, Battle for the Planet of the Apes and Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, you really see that love, that compassion for life in Caesar. He has an epic speech at the end of Conquest for the Planet of the Apes. It's an epic speech where you see the two aspects of Caesar's character. You see the enraged former slave who was enraged by the plight of his people. And then you see the compassion, you see the turning of his perspective. When the writers of this Conquest originally made it, Caesar wasn't going to get nice at the end. He was going to have the governor killed. But at the last moment they changed it because they decided that that was too horrific. And when they did that, they basically made Caesar something other than just a conqueror. They made him into a pacifist. They made him into a compassionate individual. And in the last movie, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, you see that, especially at the end. At the end of Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Caesar learns the lesson that apes really aren't much different than humans, and they are capable of violence and killing each other too. And I believe that's when he really comes to realize the necessity of understanding in order to coexist. These are things that have already happened in the Apes universe. Now these new movies are coming along. I feel like they need to stay with the true spirit of, or the original spirit of the creation that they're trying to expand upon. In Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and especially in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, you see Caesar hasn't really changed all that much, even though he is no longer this child of evolved apes. In this newer version of the Apes series, Caesar is a primitive ape that was created by because of the tampering of humans and scientific research. Basically, Caesar's an accident of science. And so you see a different character altogether, but it's still Caesar, the founder of the apes and the ape civilization. My feeling is, you could skip over the whole paradox of the two future apes coming back in time and begetting Caesar, and Caesar changing history, and basically you end up with hopefully a much kinder future for humans and apes both. With this version, if they want to completely forget all that happened and just say that there were no, Caesar just was the first one, and eventually we go into a point where humans are savage and being hunted like vermin. But is that the legacy you want for this character that was raised by a human father and learned from babyhood what it is to be loved by a human being? And in the second movie you see him being treated kindly by humans and him responding in turn to the humans. See a hint of regret on Caesar's face when Maurice indicates that he thinks all the humans are gone. There's a hint of regret on Caesar's face, like possibly he's hoping against hope that somewhere out there his father is still alive. And throughout the course of this film, you see the friendship develop between Malcolm and Caesar. And not only Malcolm, but you see Malcolm's wife, who I don't really know if they ever name her, helping Caesar's wife and helping Caesar. These are all things that should stay in his memory as we go forward. The kindness of his father, the kindness of this human friend that he makes. And I believe that it would continue to make him be the kind of person that the original Caesar was. So what would I like to see them do as far as if there's another movie? Well, I imagine there will be a horrific battle. Half the population of the humans on the earth have already been wiped out. I imagine there'll be a horrific battle. It's still just one little part of the planet, though, and even if there's the military show up from someplace else and there's a battle, it's still not going to be a world dominated by apes. It's just this one little area that has the apes. So I'm not exactly sure how they would make it a planet of the apes, unless somehow other apes across the planet, if they can come up with a way to explain how other apes elsewhere on the planet also came to be more intelligent. But anyway, that's all stuff they'd have to work out if they really wanted to show the apes conquering the whole planet. But whatever they do with that, I imagine there will be a horrific battle. I would like to see my idea of what would stay with the movies. I try to think of this more as a redo, not as a filling in the blanks where the other movie left out, because there really isn't. If you take Caesar's timeline and go forward, hopefully more peace and tranquility between the two species would go on. And I mean, that was kind of the point of Caesar's dream. So in keeping with that, I would like to see the friendship develop between Caesar and Malcolm. I thought there was a lot of chemistry between those two characters, and I think the best scenes in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes were the scenes between Caesar and Malcolm. I would love to see a reunion with Caesar and his father, who would of course be 10 years older now. They never say that Caesar's father is dead. I would think as the creator of the virus that wiped out most of humanity, he would be in hiding somewhere, disgraced and afraid for his life. Because if anybody finds out that he created the virus, that could be really bad for him. So I don't know if they're going to do anything with that. If they're going to bring the father back, I would love it if they did. And I would love there to be a reunion between Caesar and his dad, his human father, since he never really had an ape father. I would like to see Caesar come between humans being completely wiped out and remembering that not all humans are bad. And in the end, a peace and harmony between humans and apes, which is, again, what Caesar envisioned, what he hoped for, which is completely contrary to the original Planet of the Apes, the original timeline where apes had dominion and humans were lab rats and target practice and something to hunt. I would hate to see Planet of the Apes go back to that, and I really hope the creators think twice about undoing what the originators of the whole ape universe set up. I thought it was great what they set up, and I would hate to see it undone. So I just wanted to make a little video about what I would like to see the future of Planet of the Apes have in it. I really love Andy Serkis' Caesar. When I saw this movie in the theater, I wasn't really very impressed because there was a lot of, oh, he's so wonderful, referring to Caesar, and not enough showing how wonderful he is. You know, it shouldn't have to tell the audience, oh, he's wonderful. They should be able to figure that out on their own. But after watching the show several times, the movie, now that I own it several times, I really like it. I really think it's a good movie. I think they did a good job. I'm really impressed with what they did with Koba. You know, in the original series, it was a gorilla who was Caesar's Brutus. Trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name. Anyway, but in this version, we have a chimpanzee who is Caesar's nemesis. And what I like about Koba being the ape that turns, the ape that's twisted and evil, he's a creation of humans. So basically what turns on humans and what causes what starts the battle is this twisted creation that the humans made. Koba is not a natural ape. He's a creation of humans. So in other words, he's really a victim of what the humans did to him. And the victim lashes out and causes a lot of them to die. In the end, the victim dies, and that's too bad. But at the same time, it's like, I like that a lot better than how it was in the original movie. And I still can't think of the name of that gorilla. Anyway, so that's all. I just wanted to say that I think in watching it again, I'm very happy that they made Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I do hope they make the next one with a little bit more of an original title. Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes are pretty much the exact same title. They both imply the same thing. Can we have something different now? Please don't make it Birth of the Planet of the Apes. We've already risen and we've already dawned. We don't need a birth now, okay? And I hope they keep Caesar good. I hope Caesar remembers his roots and remembers the kindnesses, and that it bodes well for humanity's future. And yes, I think a lot about this kind of stuff, but this is a series of movies that have always been very close to my heart. And so when they make new movies involving the Planet of the Apes universe, I think a lot about it. It's near and dear to my heart, which is why I made this video. So hopefully they'll do it right and they won't ruin the series, because I will be really pissed if they do. If you've been watching, thanks. Bye!